The signing of Dusan Vlahovic for Arsenal would be massive, not just for on-field reasons but also financially. So let's find out today if the Arsenal ownership will back Mikel Arteta. Also, are Arsenal looking at Georginio Wijnaldum, and could Charlie Patino start for Arsenal tomorrow? Let's find out in today's episode of The Transfers FC. Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Bass14 and welcome back to your boys channel. The love recently has been amazing, so let's continue that by going down there and smashing a like on the video, and also do subscribe if you're new, because we are really and truly closing into 70,000 subscribers. But getting into the Arsenal transfer news and starting off with Dusan Vlahovic. Fiorentina's Serbian striker, he seems to be on every single Arsenal fan's lips at this moment of time. Can Arsenal sign Vlahovic? Can they convince his agent? But most importantly, any transfer is going to be very expensive, and in terms of Arsenal, we aren't known to be high spenders, especially in the January transfer market. But today the Guardian have reported that Arsenal will let Mikel Arteta spend significantly to improve his squad in this transfer window if the right players become available, but they face a battle to land Fiorentina's forward in Dusan Vlahovic. Most importantly there, the reliable Guardian have confirmed that Arsenal will give Mikel Arteta the funds to bring Vlahovic to the Emirates Stadium. These guys can smell UEFA Champions League football. They see the likes of Tottenham, Man United and West Ham as vulnerable, and they see Arsenal as a team that has an opportunity to now pull clear this top 4 race, to sign a striker and make Arsenal favourites and potentially secure Champions League football back at the Emirates Stadium. In terms of the Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta, when asked about a new striker, he says, "We are there. Whether we can accomplish that in the January or the summer is a different question, but we are there. We are open to January too. We are there," basically saying we have the finances and we are trying to make a deal happen. Whether that deal happens now is of course all down to the agent of the player. He's the guy right now stalling the transfer. But Arsenal have got a great relationship with Fiorentina. The Cronkies have given Arteta the funds, and right now Edu Gaspar and Mikel Arteta are trying as hard as they possibly can to bring this striker to the Emirates Stadium. But with Vlahovic being such a highly rated striker, of course Arsenal are going to face competition, and one being a certain Juventus. But in terms of Juve today, well, according to Gianluca Di Marzio, they have set a meeting with Sassuolo for striker Scamacca imminently, and this is a real goal for the Bianconeri. So it seems like Arsenal's biggest competitor in this transfer race, in Juventus, these guys are moving on to alternative striker plans. I believe it's very clear, even if Juventus want to sign this player, as of right now they do not have the finances to make a deal happen. But that, my friends, is not the case for Arsenal Football Club. And even in terms of report, Dean Jones says today Arsenal are turning up their interest in Vlahovic. This is so interesting now. I am told they really think they can get him if they pay a premium, and they are willing to do that. Arsenal know that any transfer is going to be expensive, but in terms of Arsenal, they are willing to do that because they can smell Champions League football. And it seems like the Arsenal owners have lost all composure and they've said, listen, get me this striker and get me Champions League football. And you also have further reports coming out of Italy claiming that Arsenal have offered Dusan Vlahovic a €10 million per year contract and are convinced they can close the deal for the striker. Juventus are out of the race to sign the player. They're saying, here's the money on the table to Fiorentina. They've got a great relationship there. You can also have Lucas Torreira in return, and also in terms of the player, you want money, here you go, my friend. The only thing as of right now in terms of reports as holding this transfer back, my friends, is the agent of the player. But over the years, speaking about transfers, I've become very accustomed to agents that want money. Ultimately, I'm not really surprised, but in terms of any transfer, do you guys think that Arsenal can sign Dusan Vlahovic in this transfer window? Because in terms of Arsenal and Dusan Vlahovic, there is a bit of history. Because here is a report back in 2016 from France Football reporting that Arsenal, Man City and PSG are all in for the Partizan Belgrade striker Dusan Vlahovic. 2016, you've got Ivan Gazidis in the Arsenal board, Arsene Wenger as the Arsenal manager, and even then Arsenal wanted to sign a young Dusan Vlahovic. And even in terms of Ian Wright, he says if we can get that striker, hard running striker, good link up play, good finisher, which Vlahovic is, then you're starting to think it's starting to happen now for Arsenal. Then all of a sudden Arsenal can start challenging and challenging seriously. Wrighty believes signing Dusan Vlahovic makes Arsenal challenges. I mean, it's a massive ask, but of course massive money for a player who's so high in demand. I can understand that. And even in terms of ex-Arsenal player Paul Merson says they should be breaking the bank to get Dusan Vlahovic in from Fiorentina because he would make them title contenders. I'm not sure if he makes Arsenal title contenders, but trust me, he would have a massive impact. And as the stats go to show, Vlahovic has scored 33 goals in 43 league appearances since the start of 2021. At least 8 more goals than any other player in that period of time. Forget about the best young strikers in the world. In terms of putting that ball in the back of the net, this guy is up there right now with the best strikers in the world, full stop. And even in terms of this month, he was named the Serie A December Player of the Month as well. 21 years of age, scoring goals for fun, ripping apart this Serie A. I can totally understand why Mikel Arteta is so keen to bring Vlahovic to the Emirates Stadium. But hypothetically speaking, if Arsenal were to sign him, do you guys think that that would be enough for Arsenal to secure Champions League football and potentially going into next year make us title contenders? Moving on to a bit of confirmed transfer news today, Roma have confirmed that Maitland Niles is now officially a Roma player. Best of luck to Fofty in Rome. Even though I don't like Jose Mourinho, I'm a massive fan of Ainsley Maitland Niles, so best of luck there. Hopefully play as many minutes as possible and you rip apart this area, and worst comes to worst, at least increase the transfer value. But in terms of Maitland Niles, the Athletic have reported that he was only interested in a move to Roma this transfer window. Otherwise, he was content to remain at Arsenal. Very interesting there that Maitland Niles was content at staying at Arsenal, and that is very important because in terms of Arsenal, the fact they know that and they've still allowed him to leave says to me they might have something they're cooking behind the scenes when it comes to that central midfield position. And moving on to Arsenal's pursuit of a brand new central midfielder, because in terms of the Arsenal manager, he's been speaking to the media, and in his last press conference he gave some very interesting words where he says Edu and the team are working very hard as we know exactly what we need to do. If it is the player that we can afford and we can do what we want to do, we will discuss it and make the best possible decision. We are open. Edu and his team are working very hard. Is that Dusan Vlahovic or is that also a central midfielder? But the fact that Arsenal are spending massively on a striker in the first place, how likely are they then to spend massive also on a brand new central midfielder? Because that would not be cheap. We're talking upwards of 40 million euros. Now ultimately, I'm not saying it will happen, but in terms of your boy, I am very skeptical of two massive signings in the same transfer window, especially with it being January. And so with that in mind, could Arsenal turn to Jorginho Wijnaldum on loan? Because Sky Sports News are reporting today that Jorginho Wijnaldum remains keen to return to the Premier League on loan from PSG. The former midfielder, who has been linked to Arsenal, wants to play regular first team football. So Wijnaldum wants to leave PSG and Arsenal are looking for a midfielder. If they can't get their other long-term target over the line, Jorginho Wijnaldum, in my opinion at least, does make a lot of sense. Him being 31 years of age but also vastly experienced in the Premier League. After all, he is a Premier League winner, and even when it comes to positions as well, Mikel Arteta wants to play his hybrid 4-3-3, and in terms of Wijnaldum, he does suit that system. So when it comes to short-term resolutions, which normally is what Arsenal do in the January transfer market, I don't think there are far better options on the market right now than Jorginho Wijnaldum. But let me know your own thoughts on Wijnaldum, and is he a player that you'd be open to seeing Arsenal sign on a loan transfer? Keeping it on the midfielders, according to reports in Brazil, Arsenal offering Palmeiras 20 million euros for Danilo, a 20-year-old midfielder. The price tag there translates to around 16 million pounds. But in terms of the player, I'll be honest, I don't know that much about him. But in terms of Arsenal, I guess with Edu Gaspar at the helm, it does make a lot of sense. And that's because in terms of Edu, of course, he used to be the director of the Brazilian national team. But in terms of Danilo himself, 20 years of age, he might be a great player going into the future. But Arsenal already have a lot of young central midfielders. After all, we also do have a certain Charlie Patino. So in my opinion, if Arsenal want to sign central midfielders, for me, I want them to be just a little bit more experienced and ready for the first team as of right now. But what do you guys make of Danilo? Have you watched him play, and is he a player that you guys want to see Arsenal sign? Keeping it on the midfielders, according to reports in Italy, Arsenal remain keen on Empoli midfielder Samuele Ricci, dubbed the Little Jorginho. The player is liked in the Premier League, particularly at Arsenal. Once again, another young player that I don't know that much about, 20 years of age, plays for Empoli, but in terms of player profile, I believe he's a defensive midfielder compared to 6. But the fact that he is a starter for Empoli means if Arsenal want to sign him, he's not going to be cheap. Do Arsenal want or need more and more young central midfielders? And in terms of other reports out of Italy, they claim that Arsenal are willing to allow Pablo Mari to leave immediately on loan until the end of the season, with Sampdoria interested in signing the player. At 29 years of age, Pablo Mari's Arsenal career is looking very unclear. He has the likes of Ben White, Gabriel, Rob Holding, and even Callum Chambers ahead of him in the pecking order. So with that being the case, I can understand his desire to play more first team minutes. So with that being the case, I wouldn't be surprised if he was to push a move away from Arsenal. But in terms of Arsenal, he is under a somewhat long-term contract. So if a club wants to sign him, for me it's kind of clear. Put the money on the table. This guy is an asset of the club. He's under contract. So if a club wants to sign him, put an offer on the table that's acceptable, and we might just negotiate. Or would you guys be open to letting Pablo Mari leave? Let's discuss down below in the comments. And moving on to the other Arsenal news today, and starting off with ESR, Arsenal's number 10 Emil Smith-Rowe, who hasn't been starting recently in the Arsenal first team. And in terms of Mikel Arteta and what Smith-Rowe can do to get back into the team, he says, "This is why we need that. We raise the level. Each player raises the level of the player next to him, and this is how you evolve as a team. How you can create a culture around the team, and when I get an opportunity, I grab it." Yes, ESR is the top Arsenal goal scorer and has been on fire for Arsenal this season, but the fact that Arsenal have been so good recently and Smith Rowe hasn't even started just goes to show the current Arsenal depth of quality going forwards. And ultimately in the long term, if Arsenal wants a competitive squad, no one can have a secured first team position, because when you have players that know they're always going to start, they're always going to get comfortable. So in this case now, Smith Rowe knows when he gets back into the Arsenal team, he needs to take that game by the scruff of his neck. He needs to score goals, have an impact and put in a proper performance. But do you guys agree with Mikel Arteta? Chris Wheatley with an exclusive says that Mika Biereth and Omari Hutchinson are included in Arsenal squad to face Nottingham Forest tomorrow. As previously reported, Charlie Patino and Salah have also been selected. The FA Cup is back tomorrow as Arsenal go to Nottingham Forest, which is going to be potentially a tricky little game, but at the same time Arsenal should be expected to win, and also in terms of the Arsenal youngsters, it is an opportunity for them to get some first team minutes. But in terms of the Nottingham Forest head coach Steve Cooper going into the game, he says Arsenal are an exciting team in good form. They've been winning a lot of games recently and winning well. They are an attractive team to watch with some very talented players and some really good youngsters as well. Now yes, logic says this should be a very easy game for Arsenal Football Club, but when it comes to the FA Cup, logic goes out of the window. This is the prime competition when it comes to upsets, and in terms of Forest, it's actually now 4 years to the day where they knocked out Arsene Wenger's Arsenal in the third round of the FA Cup. So with this game being at the same place at the same time of the FA Cup, even though I fully expect to see Arsenal win, at the same time we've just got to be a little bit careful. Of course, in terms of Arsenal, we are the kings of the FA Cup, 14-time winners, above the likes of United, Chelsea, Spurs, Liverpool and Aston Villa. There is a reason why I call it the 4 Arsenal Cup. Arsenal are record holders for a reason. Can we make it 15 though? And potentially can Arsenal win a double? Of course, also in the Carabao Cup semi-final. What do you guys make of Arsenal's chances in the FA Cup, and potentially, dare I say, can we make it a record 15? But that is the video there. If you guys have enjoyed, make sure to go down there and smash a like on the video, and also do subscribe if you are new. If you would like to follow your boy on them social medias, then the links will be down below in the description. But that was the latest episode of the Transfers FC. It's slowly becoming Vlahovic FC, but right now the focus is the FA Cup tomorrow. Let's progress, let's win, and I'll see you guys next time in a bit.